got our first game of the grand finals on the way. Fnatic versus Tricked. And this is going to be a bit of a banger, if I'm honest with you. Tricked obviously coming in as the winner of that series. Fnatic now need to bite back, find their confidence heading into another rematch and a best of 5 with these guys. And if you've been watching any of the ERLs over the course of this week, you'll know that there have been some absolutely ridiculous best of 5s played. So I'm hoping that we get the NLC to live up to that as well, because every single other ERL has had an absolutely crazy 5-game series this week. But of course, it all starts with the draft, and we're about to head into it right now. Guys, are there any picks that you think may be relatively kind of contested between these two guys? I know it's a bit of a weird question, but is there anything that stands out in your mind?
Well, first off, that Syndra down towards the bottom lane, something we've seen a lot of recently, especially here in our league as well. So I think that's definitely something you want to remove. I think Thresh can also be a priority pick as well, that both players want to contest, and the Viego as well for Maxi and Taxa. Some of these broken champions that you can still utilize. Viego in the jungle for the most part, but obviously Thresh, Rox, Lucky, it's just a champion they've both been leading towards in the past.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of Madly right now, because he has been a lot of times the highlight when Tricked is playing in general. And I'm thinking of the Wukongs, I'm thinking of the cannons, I'm thinking of all these AoE R button presses that can completely decimate a team fight, which is what Tricked knows how to do very well, these team fights. So I'm kind of like on the side of Tricked here, being on the right side, because they do have the counter pick wherever they want to throw it. In my opinion, will most likely be onto Madly.
Yeah, I do want to raise a little point here, though. Someone that was really influential, that actually got the MVP from that series versus Singularity, was Pride. And on one of those games, Pride was playing very heavy, influential teamfight type carries. Is that something that, especially versus Madly, we might see a bit more of that kind of like, I guess, the weight of that sort of responsibility onto Pride's shoulders?
I mean, it's definitely something that can arise, but I think it's going to be draft depending. What I am quite curious about now is the fact that Viego, Thresh, and Varus are still up and available.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they opt in for the Varus here themselves, because they know if they don't take Varus here, if they go for Viego, you give over the Thresh via Varus bot lane, just one of the hardest ones to actually execute against at this very point in time. But it does give Trick some priority over as well to secure that Thresh for themselves, to get the Viego as well, and then you can grab an Aphelios or third or ban, or force that ban out towards the second ban phase as well. So I do believe Trick here on the red side decided to overload the draft to make sure that they could get 2 of these OPs coming through.
To me, the Ashe ban as well right there screams to me Kalista. It screams to me that Volksnay and Lucky wanted to go for something like a Kalista Nautilus, a Kalista Leona, something that is strong, something that can run ahead into the early game. But having the Thresh open, I think they'll take that, because then Volksnay, like his bread and butter, his bread and butter is the Aphelios. So I would be extremely surprised. Now, of course, they don't have to pick it because they can get for free both the Shadow Isle champions. But I would be extremely surprised if they didn't grab the Aphelios for themselves, because then Voxen has been shining on the champion.
It's going to be a Diana and Leona rotation here. So that is the full blue side 1-3 here for Fnatic Rising. Again, a lot of priority on Diana recently, especially obviously from the jungle position. And the people would classically say Leona's not particularly strong into Thresh, but that's probably only laning phase related. Realistically, later on down the line, it's a little harder to constantly execute versus that. So it's going to be Fnatic locking in this combo, and it is the Aphelios that comes through for Trick.
It is going to be the Aphelios, so there you have the bot lane. Right now, the Varus, Leona versus the Thresh, Aphelios is going to fall behind in priority just due to the fact that Leona can't really center play in laning phase. This champion is more picked for the engages towards the mid or team fights that start breaking out. And Varus as well. It is a double range bot lane going into a ranged melee. So some of that priority from the side of Fnatic might be a bit less in the beginning of the game. But now moving on to this one, I'm actually quite curious to see Trick banning the Twisted Fate. This was a champion that I thought that Fnatic Rising would be forced to ban as well, just because of the fact that Trick could ban away some of the counters here if they wanted to. And it's also going to be quite interesting now, because now it's going to come down to the fact, is the counter pick going over to Paulson, or is it going to go over to Madly instead? I actually think, now that you have drafted yourself the Thresh Aphelios going into the Varus and Leona, that you can play for this bot lane. I think if you give the priority over to the mid lane, you can get a lot of priority to move down towards this bottom side of the map. So to me, I think Trick, they should be focusing on getting Paulson on a comfort pick.
To me, the Twisted Fate pick right there screams that they want to play for Madly. They don't want to have pressure on the sideline. They don't want to have pressure onto the Aphelios. The Aphelios is much easier to get away from it because he has the Lantern on the Thresh. But we spoke from the start and we said like Madly has been such a big rock in the successes of Trick that I feel like specifically because Pride got also the MVP in his series versus Singularity that they want to hit Pride really hard and they do have the counter pick on the side of Madly. So you want to take away the two big factors that can hit on that. I would think Wukong would be one of the champions that Madly can play. They are playing from the front to back. They have the Aphelios, they have the Thresh. They just need a big, strong engage tool for, the Orianna has been locked in. To me, it just screams Wukong, start to finish.
I think it's interesting as well. You have the Renekton ban coming through, so that could mean that if you want Camille as well, that's going to be a factor to come through. But I also think from the side of Fnatic Rising, there's not too many counters for the Camille now if you wanted to opt in for that one. So you can opt in for more side lane as well. And this is a hover in the Yasuo. We've seen this a lot in the LPL with the Yasuo-Diana composition. Yet Diana just jumps into your backline, ultimates together with the Yasuo ultimate, and it's just a wombo combo to come through. And you can clearly tell what they want from Fnatic right now. They have the Mundo up towards the top side as a weak sider, and then you're playing for this Yasuo and the Varus later towards the mid game. So that is going to be the composition for Fnatic here.
Yeah, it does put Pride in one of those situations where, Madly may be able to exploit and Madly may be able to push her advantage on a strong side top. We'll see what Trick lock in. It is the Aatrox that gets locked in here. So again, a bit more lane dominant, can put a lot of pressure onto that Mundo in the top lane. But these are the two compositions for our first game in this grand final. Trouble, with 40 seconds to go until we jump into game, what do you think? What comps were they designed to do? Who are you favoring?
Well, clearly for Fnatic Rising, they have the Wombo combo, right? They have the Diana Yasuo combo. They can lock people down with the arrow from Varus. They have the Leona lockdown as well. And then they have a big beefy Mundo that was going to be sitting around the fight, being a big nuisance to the Aphelios because he cannot be stopped, right? For Trick here, I am a little bit confused because if you want to play for the top side, you've got two AD champions. Mundo is going to be very easy into this game. He's going to itemize full armor. Aphelios is not going to be able to touch him. Viego's not going to be able to touch him. Aatrox is not going to be able to touch him. So I'm a little bit confused on the double AD. There is no Wukong. There is no straight engage in the backline of Trick that can deliver the ball from the Orianna. And even though, yes, they do have a lot of zoning tools with the Thresh, with the ball to try and help the Aphelios, I feel like the Wombo combo is just too hard from the side of Fnatic to avoid every single one of them.
Yeah, quite quickly, I think what Trick, realistically speaking, has to do is play for tax. So you have a bot lane with priority, you have a mid lane with priority in the early game, so you have to utilize this pressure you get to try and expose Maxi on the Diana before he hits level 6 on the Diana. If you miss this window, I think the composition for Fnatic can be very easy to execute.
Yeah, well, a lot of pressure on Deja's shoulders coming into this first game. He is a key part of that combo that needs to execute well. I'll have to see how it goes. We have Orcs and Hitbrain back together for the finals. We're going to hand it over to them for our first game.
Thank you very much, Excoundrel. Hello and welcome to the caster desk as we're getting ready to go into our first game here at the NLC Grand Finals. Orcs, Fnatic versus Tricked. Fnatic were technically the team that came in from the lower bracket, which is a bit of an upset in its own right. But how are we thinking right now? What are you thinking about these two team comps?
Yeah, I think Goldberg was saying how Fnatic kind of already played for 6. I think that's quite true. You have the really strong combo between Maxi and Dior. I think prior to level 6, neither of these two champions are really going to be that capable, especially compared to their counterparts. Paulson will have priority. Paxter will be better in skirmishes because if he gets that reset, I think Bean should spot them out, just back away. But yeah, I think so many tools are enabled for Fnatic Rising once they hit 6, and I think they'll really start to spike in the mid game. That's where they'll feel a lot more comfortable. Whereas for Trick, they have that priority play around early. If they can put Maxi behind, if they can offset that mid game, they should be in a comfortable spot because when it gets later, you have these great tools like the Orianna, the Aphelios that are going to really function well in the front to back composition.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be interesting as we get kind of into the meat of the game, really, and see how these teams are able to navigate themselves. We saw Fnatic, who played versus Singularity in the lower bracket finals, go 0-2 in that best of 5, and they were able to find a reverse sweep. And it was honestly a It's a really good thumbs up. I don't know how you want to really word it, but for Fnatic, it was really good for them to find that reverse sweep, and it was impressive to have the mental fortitude to not just completely lose faith. And they came into that game 3 on fire. There's a rage that almost gets lit underneath Fnatic in these situations, and I have to see whether or not they have that after they lost to Tricked in honestly an absolutely chaotic series between the two teams.
I think you got to think about as well is that Fnatic hadn't actually played that many games with Dayo in competitive. That best of 5 pretty much doubled the amount of competitive games they played with a new mid laner. So it's literally how it is. So they've had the opportunity to sort of bring him more in. And I remember when he first joined in the regular season, we saw him on Seraphine. He was very much playing that supportive role. The fact that he's on this Yasuo now shows they have a lot of confidence in him as a carry. But we are seeing the lane sort of play out how expected. There's that huge amount of mid priority. See bot lane, Leona not really able to do anything at level 1 into the Thresh. And so both of these situations have that pressure applied. I like to see as well that they took this opportunity to get a ward down on the Raptors. That means Taxa has a very good understanding of where Maxi is, allows him to play around that. But with both junglers on opposite sides, I expect to see a trade of scuttles. And Maxi is completely making the right move, pathing up towards top side, because Pride, as you can see, is the lane with priority. So if he wants to get that scuttle, he will have the backup of his top laner.
I mean, Maxi is, Pride's having a fantastic time up there in the top side, heavily chunking out and shoving Madly underneath his tower. There is a large wave for Madly to be able to collect, and it is an Aatrox, so he has a fairly decent time dealing with large waves just due to his Q. Fnatic getting heavily shoved in underneath their tower as expected. The death did hit on this. You got that kind of double range and the amount of harass they can put down. Bean's not really at the point where he's got enough lethality to either heavily poke out their Voxney or clear through the waves. And Fnatic really feeling some pain under this tower, but they are able to slowly and surely clear through the wave. As great little sidestep there from Bean, just to dodge away on the hook from Lucky. And Trick may just play a little bit of pantomime here, as they did have the shroud down for the moment, but gonna be okay.
I think at level 3 though, you get a lot more agency in this lane. It's still a bit tricky because Leona can't E in against a good flay from Lucky, so you have to be cautious about that. But you have the resistances from your W that'll keep you tanky enough. Bean gets a bit more trading power here. They're still going to be a bit behind in terms of priority, but Lucky and Devox, they can misstep, right? Especially Lucky. If Lucky missteps, doesn't get the flay down in time, and he gets CC locked, he can go down. The Thresh is pretty squishy, and obviously he isn't the one with that cleanse available. A critical thing to know is that, Leona does a lot of damage in the early game. If you land your combo onto Lucky, you have the Ignite going down. There's no heal from Devoxnay. They are looking for it now.
Yeah, getting a whole big chunk of damage as Ignite's being used. The hook comes down as well, looking for that final arrow. Devoxnay heavily chunked out, but already able to get away nice and safe as he has the Gravitum onto Rux. He's not going to pull the trigger.
Aiming the brush. I think you might have been actually wanting to recycle weapons there, but I feel like you probably would want to hit that Q towards Rux. But regardless, this is kind of what we're talking about. That level 3 gets hit. Fnatic Rising trying and engage. Lucky isn't sharp enough from the flay to keep the Leona off Devoxnay, and they end up trading Cleanse for Ignite. But the critical thing is this gives a lot of pressure over to Fnatic Rising. They're able to push this wave in. Dean gets a very nice reset, and Devoxnay is actually going to miss out on some farm here. Lucky, the wave is too big for him to tank. He's not actually achieving anything here, right? The minions are still dying to the tower, so I'm not sure why he was soaking.
He just took free damage, that's what he did.
He just took free damage. He didn't really actually change the outcome of the lane. Either tank it out of the tower range or just reset and then get on the map and make something happen. Because you can already see Fnatic Rising, Bean's heading back towards his lane. The next wave is going to push out towards him so he can catch that. It does mean they're kind of sacrificing Dragon, but it also gives him free time to Rux, right? Rux is going to be able to move around, see if he finds anything. He obviously knows with Paulson having reset, there's not too much to be done there, so he'll just have a little wander through his own jungle.
Yeah, Rux probably will be aware that this dragon's going on. We will be soon when that dragon goes down, and he is notified of that. So Rux actually finds them Voxney Bean coming in over the wall. They do find a hook, and then takes a lot of damage. The teleport's coming in. The lantern's been laid down, and he's going to have to flash away to safety. Double teleports have been used. It's a little bit too late, Madly. Everyone from Fnatic is just grouped up here. Bean finds first blood.
And honestly, I'm going to say it. That initial TP from Fnatic Rising was not good, right? Yeah. The Dayo TP, they'd already disengaged. The lantern was there. It was a bit messy. But Trick just give them a freebie, right? Madly just TPs it. Like, the communication must have been off. I think what would have happened there, I'm going to hold this thought.
Oh, we're in a
Okay, never mind.
replay,
We're gonna
so
get the
we can
replay.
talk about it. I'll tell you this much: the Jewel's fine.
Yeah, so we see that second TP come in from Fnatic to secure the play, but I'm assuming what happened in the comms is that Trick's bot lane would have gone, oh, they're TPing, and Maddie's like, right, I'm coming, don't worry, guys. And then Devoxy and Lucky are like, bro, we're good, dude. I don't know.
Flash as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, there was no way that Devoxy and Lucky were going down. And if they'd managed to disengage without burning Madley's TP, would have been an amazing play for them. They all would have lost a huge amount of farm mid. They wouldn't have got that kill. So just a little bit messy. And Fnatic Rising really getting bailed out on that one.
And we can take stock on the items at this point because it's not a massive gold lead, but we can see where they are item-wise. Deo's finished up his attack speed boots, so got that. Yasuo's full build. Serrated Dirk onto Bean. He got a tier as well, so did obviously want to start stacking up towards that Mirror Mana. You can see Pride itemizing in the most understandable item in this matchup. Has got himself that Bramble Vest, but it's just components at the moment. Tricked are looking here for Maxi, but Maxi is going to be able to get away for free. They have to be quite careful. He's going a little bit low. The Lantern comes down and the wall goes up from Deo. I think a little bit too late.
Yeah, I like the move from the bot lane to help, because Maxi wouldn't be enough, right, to help push that wave in so they could reset. So both members of the bot lane come in to try and secure that. But there is something to talk about. We set up the conditions at the start of the game. Trick would have that early prio mid and bot. Fnatic Rising would kind of be playing a 6. Maxi's been untouched. He's actually up significantly in farm compared to Taxa. We really wanted Taxa to capitalize on the pre-6 advantage he has. He hasn't done so. So I think Fnatic are in a much better position to contest, and that's what they're looking for now.
Well, Pride will lose his spell shield, but gets a bit heal off onto himself. Maximum dosage has been thrown down, and Maxi's got that level 6. Dale's not here, though, so they don't have that big combo, and now Pride's going low. Gets himself hooked once again, but Rux finds himself in the middle of everyone, looking to lock them all down. They're waiting for Dale. There's the Moonfall. Beautiful. Last breath, not in range. The Shockwave comes down, and Tricked are just turning this play back around. Rux finds the lockdown, and Pride flashes over the wall, but in comes Taxa, following with the Heartbreaker. Finds himself a double kill, but now he steals away Mundo's form, and Rux going oh so low. A triple kill for Taxa. And Fnatic were just a little bit too quick on the money there. And they didn't have Yasuo in range to the last breath.
Yeah, critical things. Yasuo not connecting for the follow-up on the ult. And also the exhaust from Lucky. That down could have been a massive threat there if it wasn't for the exhaust coming down. Completely denied that combo from having the full impact. And the thing with Fnatic Rising's composition is they have these high impact ultimates. That's why we were talking about playing to level 6. Because they have these massive tools, and if they go off and they don't work successfully, Taxa can just run over the fight. So we see the ult comes in here, don't get the follow-up from Deo. I actually think he was in range. I think he might just been slow on that one. It is a pretty long range. I'm not exactly sure, but either way, pretty underwhelming. And then Taxa is just easily able to clean up, and these are the ideal circumstances for a Viego, right? You have a long drawn-out fight, you're able to get resets, and critically, if Fnatic Rising's initial combo doesn't work, if their ults don't get the value, they will lose these fights.
During the replay, we did have a Rift Herald secured by Maxi. I say secured, stolen. He brought Dayor up, and the pair of them were able to kind of bully Taxa off. So even though Fnatic did lose that fight, they were able to pick up that Rift Herald. And the gold lead is dead even as we hit the 10-minute mark. So Fnatic, not in particularly the worst position right now. We'll have to see how they use that Rift Herald and, you know, where they decide to use it. Are they going to try and get some plates onto Dayor? Maybe give them the opportunity to free up this mid lane on the second Herald? Or are they going to try and inject some gold into one of these side laners?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a tricky one. I probably would just go for the mid play. I think getting that mid tier 1 is going to be very difficult if you don't use the Herald to do it. And again, you get this Herald, you get the second Herald, then that's going to be the mid tower down. It allows you to expand that control outwards. I
think Fnatic agree with you. They've brought a couple of people into the mid side as they all getting chunked down. Those Clockwork windups starting to hurt. That was going to be okay as the dragon spawns up in 3 seconds time as well, so they can use the Herald to get pressure and use that as a point to work through as Taxa's making his way forward. Now remember, Dayor heavily chunked out, does have himself the fleet footwork though, so we'll be able to heal back up fairly quickly. Dragon number 2 given over to Fnatic, and it's that Cloud Soul. You talked about it after that last fight. Fnatic, they want to play around their high impact ultimates. Having those ultimates on slightly shorter cooldowns does help somewhat, as we are looking at a Mountain Soul as our major dragon for this game.
Yeah, so the extra resistance is actually really nice for either team, but Tricked in particular, they want that backline protection. Going to make it a lot harder to hit Polston. or Denvoxne in these situations. Just allows them to potentially survive the initial engage combo. And I respect Trick's decision not to contest that dragon. Again, you picked up that first dragon. It delays Soul by quite a bit. Earliest you're going to see a Soul is sort of that 25-minute mark. And that's if, again, one of the teams changed them all together. So they're not really too concerned about sort of setting a fast pace with regards to these dragons because they're comfortable with their late game scaling.
Yeah, absolutely. The stuff Fnatic is setting up for a little something. Lucky will be seen on this ward, and they've got the lockdown. They've got the moonfall. There's the last breath. Shut down, picked up by Rux. Maxi dashes in for the second. 2 kills for Fnatic like that.
Yeah, that's really how it should go, in all honesty. And now they're looking for Pulse, and he has Flash.
Bean has ult as well. The shockwave goes down. They both flash away, but Dale looks to hunt him down. He's got the knock up, and everybody will just collapse then. Bean secures the kill. Plates get shared across all 4 members of Fnatic, and Bean will pick up that 3rd one as well. Fnatic just pulling themselves, slingshotting themselves ahead at that 12-minute mark.
Yeah, really nice play from Fnatic Rising. They group up, they find the angle, and they see Taxer and Lucky a little bit disrespectful with their pathing walking through without ensuring that they weren't seen on vision. Ooh. And again, this is seeing the impact of Fnatic Rising's composition where they have those powerful ults. And particularly when it's a skirmish, right? When it's not a full 5v5, having the Yasuo combo with Diana is enough just to instantly kill 2 targets, right? So if this had been 5 members, there's more of a potential for turnaround. But because it's only these 2 initially, they're instantly deleted. There's no one there who can really do anything. It's only Paulson. He's not in position to follow up. And then here, Paulson flashes away from the Chains of Corruption, but it's 4 against 1. Really no counterplay.
I think also crucially, Lucky was caught, and he's the lantern. He is the safety net. And Lucky might find himself maybe not quite so lucky as Bean. Hasn't got the chains, but the solar flare's going to land, and he is locked down. Bean now got himself the Duskblade, so he's able to do some serious damage. Just gets in with the auto attacks, and look who's in the bush. They all got the ultimate. Moonfall up as well. Denvoxne, I think you might be going down today, friends. Everybody collapses in. He goes to try and flash away, but it's a little bit too late. As in comes the rest of the team. The World Owner's been used. The chains are on. The shockwave lands on 1 because a great stopwatch come out from Rux, and Madly going oh so low. Bean secures himself the double kill, and the overdose is on. Fnatic Rising are just crushing. Straight to triple kill for Bean, and Fnatic find themselves such an early ace.
This is just absolute decimation there. I love the calls coming out from Fnatic Rising. They pick up those critical targets. They go for the engage. And again, this is kind of talking about how the dynamic changes with this Thresh and Leona matchup. Once you have the solar flare, if you connect with that, he doesn't have an opportunity to flay as he is stunned. And we'll see that replay here. So the ult connects thanks to slow from Bean. No chance to flay this away. Lucky does stopwatch to buy time, but he can't really do anything to save himself. And Fnatic have invested the resources. They brought the members over to set up for this dive. And the thing is, the TPs from Tricked come very late because they want Fnatic to commit so that the TPs aren't wasted. But the problem is, by the time you're TPing, Denvoxne is already dead. And now you're in a 2v4 situation. The TP even comes in from Pride as well. And it's just this target selection from Fnatic Rising. All the focus is on to Madly there. As soon as he's down, it's all going down on the Paulson, and it's just taking it one step at a time. Really good player. Now they are 5,000 gold ahead. I mean, look at Bean's items.
He's already got the Serpent's Fang. He just finished that Duskblade up. At 10 minutes, I think it was when it's got finished up. We're now 15 minutes in, and he is very, very strong right now.
And just to talk about the value of the Serpent's Fang this game, we have the Orianna shields, the obvious one, but Denvoxne is going towards a shield bow. Yeah, likely going to see potential Sterak's from Tax and Madly, but also the Guardian from Thresh and his Lantern. Like, people sleep on this, but Thresh Lantern with Guardian actually is a substantial shield. It's quite significant, especially later in the game when you have a lot of souls stacked up, because for every soul, you're getting 1 extra shield. So it actually has a fair bit of value, and that's on top of the fact that Serpent's Fang is just a very gold-efficient item, even without the shield reduction. So a lot of value here. And right now, Fnatic, they found their mid-game momentum. That's the critical thing we're talking about, is we want to see them really driving things when it comes to that mid-game. And you have to say, Trick didn't do a great job of shutting them down before that. And now at the point where it's really this Fnatic Rising roster who are just setting the pace of the game.
And there you go. The charge goes down. The tower will fall, and Fnatic can turn their attention towards their second dragon as well. Charge not going to go out onto that tier 2. It was stopped by Paulson and Madley, but at the end of the day, Fnatic have now opened up that mid lane, and the big concern was when Orianna hits one item, it's going to be very, very hard to be able to take through that tower, but are able to pick it up. Then Voxy should be able to answer here with this tower, though he does have to be careful as Bean comes in with the flash, comes in with the chains, looks for the damage, and Bean with the solo kill. That is an incredibly fed Varus.
Yeah, Godlike now 7-0. I mean, the damage is just really obscene. And the thing is, this actually causes big problems for Trick's composition, because the way Trick's composition wants to play is they want the extended fight. They want Fnatic Rising to engage and critically the engage to fail, right? That's actually how they want fights to play out, because then they kite back with the Felios, with Paulson, and they just destroy everyone. With Varus being so fed, Fnatic don't actually need to engage ever. They will, don't get me wrong, because they'll be able to crush the fight. But if Fnatic just want to play for poke, they can. This Aphelios is so fed that he can just fire arrows off from, 2 screens away and chunk out Trick's carries.
Dayo and Taxa having a bit of a fight. He's got the last breath. He's going to throw it down. Taxa very, very low, but does do a lot of healing. Not enough, though. The shield bow procs, and Dayo able to find himself the kill. Beautiful stuff there from the new Fnatic mid laner. Finding his first kill of this playoffs, of this finals. To be able to shove it into this last tier 1 standing for Fnatic. He's got Maxi and Rux at his back. So he should be feeling pretty comfortable to be able to take this.
And I think what's insane is the fact that Taxa, I mean, Dan is a fast clearing jungler, don't get me wrong. But Viego isn't exactly slow. And when you get 3 kills off that mid-game skirmish, even on the back of that, he's just fallen so far behind in farm.
Oh, no. They're getting the exhaust on, but I don't think that's going to be enough to stop Bean as he's able to find himself the kill. A lot of damage coming in onto Madley. He's locked down the World Enders on. He's got a lot of healing, but the CC is just way too much. It's building up, and now Denvoxy has to be careful as the Moonfall comes down, and Denvoxy's heavily jumped out, but they do find themselves a Spectral more onto Maxi. They find the Q for the Graviton so they can lock him down in place. The stopwatches come down. The arrows over the wall. Here comes Mundo! Pride has found Denvoxy, and with the Heart Zapper on, he's looking to pop some members, but he is going to be going oh so low. Dajon's got the knockup charged up, and he finds himself the kill onto Denvoxy. The arrows are going to enough to find another one. They are able to actually through the red buff towards Paulson. Paulson stopwatches. The lantern goes down, but it is nowhere near. Fnatic Rising, they are mad. They are coming into these grand finals looking for revenge on Tricked.
And I think you actually saw there how, Fnatic Maxi didn't jump in instant. I mean, he jumped in, sorry, he didn't instantly get the kill on Denvoxy. And you saw that's, kind of favorable for Trick. They can kite backwards. You saw Denvoxy doing a ton of damage. In concept, that works. But when you're this far behind in gold, it just doesn't matter, right? It's just, you're so far behind. There's nothing you can do. Madly in melee range of Bean, just not really doing anything. You can see, Maxi goes with engaging Denvoxy. Doesn't instantly kill him. The punish starts to come through. Denvoxy is doing decent DPS here. And they actually look like they're going to kill Maxi. But the problem is, again, it's this gold disadvantage. They don't have the extra damage to cut through. Bean's firing off these arrows that just do a ridiculous amount of damage. And as a result, it just constantly feels like Tricked are on the edge of just losing the fight. And then Theo comes in and he just literally cues a couple of people and they're dead.
I mean, Bean has now got 3 items. Denvoxy has 1. He's not even got a full component on his second item. He's just got 2 longswords. There is a massive item deficit here but Tricked have to work around, and I just don't think it's possible. The snowball has started and the pace has been built up. And Trick now, like you said, it needs to be Fnatic to find an engage and fumble that engage, but when the gold lead is this big, when the execution has been this clean, I'm not sure if either fumbles enough at this point. They might just be able to win through stats.
Honestly, pretty much at this point. Plus as well, like you look at the item, it's the shield bow, for Denvoxy, we have the Divine Thunder, the Gold Drinker. Theo's already got the Mortal Reminder. Just going to drastically reduce the healing, so it means in situations like this where they catch Madly, if he ends up getting just targeted by Deo, he's just not going to have the healing in his kit.
Deo able to get away to safety from the 2 members collapsing on him, but the tier 2 goes down and Fnatic Rising find their 4th turret of the game. Denvoxy doing his best to try and take this tower here, but teleport's coming in and that's going to be a big old Mundo. I don't think Denvoxy really feels comfortable fighting him, but Pride feels comfortable fighting himself. Heart Zapper on to clear out the wave, and Denvoxy can't even pop the spell shield. Well, can't use his Q effectively without popping the spell shield, so it's getting rough here for Tricked. It's getting very, very rough. This is a best of 5.
Jake, it's already rough, right? This is sandpaper level at the moment.
We're in the doghouse. Rough. Come on, man. It's finals. You got to go with me on these ones.
No, not even slightly. Not even slightly. You get silence from me on that one. Yeah, but, substantial lead at this point, 9,000. And again, it needs Fnatic to overstep. Someone from Fnatic needs to just be in the wrong position, go too far forwards. And that's where Trick can find a route in. Again, a thing to note is that, right, this is a 9-0 Varus, yeah? We can all agree this Varus is very fed. If he dies and Taxa uses his passive on him, then Trick have the 9-0 Varus, right? Maybe that's been the strat all along.
Oh, Deo's got a lot of people coming in, flashes away as Taxa looks to hunt him down. He's got some pretty healthy speed as he finds himself the lockdown. Deo puts the wall up, trying to dodge away. He's able to survive as lands himself a cheeky knock up on the Pulsar, but Fnatic are like, what are you doing? We're just going to take your base. Rux is just buying time. He's just stopping the recalls. He's standing in the middle of everyone, but he flashes away to safety. The wave's being cleared out. The shockwave does finally land on the Deo as he's looking for the solar flare into that knockup, into the last breath. Tax has to jump away. Here comes the arrows from downtown. Madly able to dodge away. Fnatic are in the base as the chain of corruption goes wide, and the Yasuo is jumping around. Paulson is solo. The lantern comes down, and Paulson will survive for now, but the base is in shambles.
Yeah, it's another play. I mean, I respect Trick trying to go for the cross map, trying to go for the aggression, but they don't even get anything, right? They don't even get the tier 2. They just kind of have to run away on the back of that one. I mean, in fairness, they get Rux and Deo's flash, but I don't think that's really worth losing your bot inhibitor. And a lot of people will talk about, right, taking an inhibitor this early, could it be a problem? Sometimes teams can stall out and get a lot of gold from that. I mean, at this point, Fnatic Rising are so far ahead. They have so much engaged. They have a tanky Mundo. I don't think they're really concerned. And you can see the situation. Fnatic are just playing to buy time, right, at first. They're not really too concerned about winning the fight. And it's only when Tricked overstep here, they're like, okay, let's kill them, I guess.
And then, yeah, it's just like that Tricked are already too low by the time Bean shows up. And sure, those chains missed. And Paulson pretty bloody happy that those chains missed, because he would have been dead. But Fnatic, 10,000 gold up at 23 minutes. They are 4 minutes away from the Mountain Soul spawning, and all those extra resistances are going to make any accidental misplays by them just that harder to punish. Is with this team, Baron is literally liquefied. It is going to be going so quickly, and I think we might see maybe Trick try and contest it. They brought multiple people over. They're trying to jump over the wall with Maxi. Paulson comes in. The shockwave is available, and you're pretty heavily chunked out as Maxi actually jumps in. Paulson's heavily chunked down. They get the chains of corruption off, and Bean is legendary. Madly teleports in over the wall. The shockwave only hits onto Rux, though, and Madly will go down. A double kill has been picked up for Bean. He's looking for the arrow, not going to find it, as Paulson will fall to Pride, and Pride will just run everybody down. The last breath goes through, and Bean secures himself a triple kill. Only Taxa stands. Fnatic, it was all a bait. This whole playoffs have been a bait. They are on form as we come into finals, and they are in Trick's base. Maxi is making sure Taxa will not get back in time to defend. It is only Lucky to respawn. Everybody else has way too long. 24 minutes on the clock, and Fnatic Rising will take game number 1 of this finals here at the NLC.
Yeah, and I think Trick looked at that one like, cool, guys, that was the warm-up. Okay, game 2, we come in and we sort things out, because there's not, I mean, I don't think necessarily Trick's draft was that bad. I think the way they played it, though, was. I think one of the big issues was we talked about, you want that early agency that the Viego has compared to the Diana. It's not massive. It's not like Xin Zhao into Diana or Lee Sin into Diana, but you have the prior lanes and you kind of need to make something happen. Taxa just fell so far behind in farm. It felt like he wasn't pathing efficiently. Maxi was pathing Nirvana the entire game, so he just ended up so far ahead on this Diana, and then it came to that sort of the setups, and Fnatic were really proactive in the mid game. They're like, we are going to fight here, we're going to do this, and Tricked were kind of just caught with their pants down, and it looked like such a big difference, but I'm hoping Trick can bounce back from this for this game too, because, you know, this was a rough start.
There was light, right? There was that one fight where it was like, oh, Tricked are actually looking to pull this back. And then from there, it just went horribly wrong. But then it did show us that this wasn't, you know, while that game was very one-sided, there's still some fight in Tricked, and it is a best of 5, so there's still more games to go. Anyway, we're going to throw to a quick break, and when we're back, we'll have the analyst desk to talk about that game number 1. So we'll see you in a moment.